This is not a watch, or at least it's far more than one. This machine was built to solve the single deadliest problem on Earth, getting lost. By solving an impossible technical puzzle, how do you build a machine that keeps perfect time on a wooden ship being pitched and slammed by 30-foot waves? How do you build perfect stability in the middle of pure chaos? This machine, the one that solved the puzzle, is the unseen architect of our modern, interconnected world. And it was built by a carpenter. To understand how this box of gears invented our world, we have to reverse engineer that solution. We start with the problem of longitude. In the 1700s, sailing was a terrifying gamble. Finding your position, north to south, your latitude, was relatively easy. You just measure the angle to the North Star. But longitude, your position east to west, it was a total blind guess. And this guess was deadly. In 1707, a British fleet returning home in bad weather got it wrong. They thought they were in the safe open ocean. They were not. They struck the rocks off the Scilly Isles. 4 capital ships, 2,000 men, lost, wrecked on their own coastline. This tragedy forced the issue. The technical problem is all about time. The Earth rotates 360 degrees in 24 hours. That's 15 degrees of longitude for every hour of time difference. So if you know it's noon where you are, and you have a magic box that tells you it's exactly 2 p.m. back in London, you know you are 2 hours different. 30 degrees west. Boom, you know your longitude. So what was the problem? The problem was that magic box. It didn't exist. This was the most precise machine on Earth. And the second it got on a ship, it was useless. The pendulum would swing wildly. The salt in the air would rust its gears. The temperature change would cause the metal balance spring to expand and contract, making it run fast or slow. A few seconds of error a day, multiplied over months, meant you'd be miles off. The problem was so bad, the British government created the Longitude Act, a prize of £20,000, millions in today's money, for anyone who could solve it. The establishment, the astronomers, the scientists were all convinced the only answer was in the stars, a complex, maddeningly difficult method of measuring the moon's position. They were all looking up. They never expected the solution to come from a carpenter who was obsessed with wood. John Harrison was not a scientist. He was a joiner, and he hated friction. He built his first clocks almost entirely out of wood, lignum vitae, a dense, self-lubricating wood. Why? Because the oil of the day was a disaster. It would get thick in the cold, thin in the heat. It was the enemy of stability. Harrison's wooden clocks could run for decades with no oil at all. He heard about the Longitude Prize, and he knew the astronomers were wrong. The answer wasn't in the sky. It was in a machine that could conquer chaos. He spent 5 years building this. This is H1. This is his first stroke of genius. He couldn't use a pendulum, right? So he built 2 massive dumbbell balances linked together so that when the ship rolls one way, they perfectly cancel each other out. The machine's center of gravity never moves. It's a brute force solution to the rocking of a ship. It was brilliant, but not perfect. The board was skeptical, so Harrison built H2. It was better, more refined, but Harrison, his own worst critic, found a flaw. He refused to even submit it for a trial. He spent 19 more years working on H3, and in that time, he solved the other great enemy, temperature. This is the bimetallic strip, his second great invention. He realized that 2 different metals, say brass and steel, expand at different rates when heated. He bonded them together. So when the clock got hot, the strip would bend, and this bend would perfectly change the spring's length to compensate for the heat. It's a self-correcting mechanical thermostat. H3 was a masterpiece. It had thousands of parts, and it was a dead end. After decades of work on these massive machines, he realized he was thinking about it all wrong. The solution wasn't bigger, it was smaller. He had an idea for a new kind of escapement, the engine of the clock. This is the grasshopper escapement, and it is beautiful. It's almost frictionless. It pushes the balance and then gets out of the way. It didn't need oil. It was the breakthrough he'd been chasing his entire life. And he put it inside this. This is H4, the Carpenter's box. It's not a clock, it's a watch. And it's the culmination of 40 years of brutal, obsessive struggle. He had shrunk all his genius into a machine that could ignore chaos. In 1761, H4 was put on a ship for its sea trial, 81 days to Jamaica. When they arrived, the ship's own navigation, the dead reckoning, was off by miles. But H4, after 81 days at sea, in a storm, H4 was off by only 5 seconds. It was a total, unbelievable triumph. So Harrison got his money and was hailed as a hero, right? No. The establishment hated this. The astronomer royal Neville Maskelyne refused to believe a mere mechanic could solve his problem. He was all in on his complex lunar tables. They held back his money, they demanded he build another one, they forced him to disassemble his masterpiece. It took another decade. Harrison, now an old man, had to appeal directly to the king to finally get his prize. But the machine had won. The idea was out. H4 was so good, it was copied. Captain James Cook took a copy of it, K1, on his second voyage. That copy, this idea, is what allowed for the accurate mapping of the entire world. It's the machine that created our global maps. It shrunk the world because for the first time, you could know precisely where you were. But the echo of Harrison's core idea, his obsession with mechanical stability, is everywhere today. Your simple quartz watch, it works on the exact same principle. It doesn't use a balance wheel, it uses a tiny quartz crystal vibrating at a perfectly stable 32,000 times a second. It's the H4 in your pocket. And what about your phone? Your GPS? It's the Longitude Problem all over again. The only reason GPS works is because those satellites carry atomic clocks, stable to a billionth of a second. They are the direct descendants of Harrison's 40-year struggle. The next time you pull out your phone and that little blue dot tells you exactly where you are, remember the carpenter, the man who hated friction, the engineer who spent a lifetime building stability in a box of chaos, so that we would never be lost again.